find out, given our, let's say, for instance, in Trinidad and Tobago, in the music industry, where do you think we are at this point? Because, I mean, now I like to sing, right? I mightn't be able to sing in front of person, like in a whole group of persons or on a stage, but where do you think our music industry in Trinidad and Tobago is? Where do you think we are? Where?
Oh man, it's such a broad question, but um, unfortunately, in many ways, it's still in the fledgling stages. When there was a time when we kind of would,
Mm-hmm.
um, and many people have come in and tried to straighten it up, to make it into something a bit more professional,
Mm-hmm.
to establish the pathway I just spoke about.
Right.
Um, but I don't think we've had the vision from the government level
Right.
just yet. I'm hearing right now that Stuart Young is saying that they want to establish a council. Um, I think there was some iterations of this before. So the real thing will be, is there the political will um, to make this really happen? Right
Mm.
now, what we have are scattered pockets of people who have figured it out,
Right.
who sometimes share information with themselves, like among each other,
Right.
and in some cases share information with younger ones who need the information.
Mm-hmm.
But that information that is known by everyone, well, that is known by everyone in certain
In a
circles,
circle, right.
it should be known by everyone.
Hmm.
The holding of secrets close to the chest and all that really doesn't benefit very many people,
Right.
you know. So one thing about Freetown is that if a young person wants to be a musician and they have an idea they want to do this, and they come and they say, "Hey, this is what I want to do," we could kind of start to walk you through the first steps.
Right.
And if you go through those first steps and you seem as though you're ready, this is what you want to do, we walk you through the next steps. We take you along that journey as far as you want to go with yourself, you know.
Yeah.
But it has to be, and again, I reiterate that there has to be an institution or institutions that have their eye on that ball. So right now where we are, we kind of scattered, but we have the resources, mentally and otherwise, to bring the thing together. And I think to bring it together very quickly.
Hmm.
There just needs to be the political will.
To do it.
Or an organization that has the funds and also the political air
Right.
to be able to bring it together.
Now we know elections coming up April 28th. Do you think that in any one of the policies, whether whichever government wins or even the promises, because we're hearing about all kind of promises, do you think was there any of the promises that you heard, would relate to the music industry and culture and the arts that stood out to you? If you've heard any?
Stuart Young literally made a promise to set up an artist council.
An artist
You know?
council.
Yeah, and that artist council is supposed to now have oversight over how we develop the industry,
Hmm.
so that it won't be government individual led, but it will be led by people who are living it every single day.
Oh,
This
and
is
who in the
how-
field?
and who are in the field and
Yeah.
have experience in the field, etc. So it's a great idea. I have heard this before in another iteration, but it's where we have to start.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some faith. Let's see.
There's only one way to find out, we'll see.
Yeah.
Only
yeah,
one
yeah.
way to find, because I find that songs nicer, but I hope that when that is created, it will have some level of let's say structure, because sometimes it a song nice, but when we reach that bridge and it's time to cross it, we having some problems and some challenges. So I hope that it have some type of structure to benefit all the musicians and even new persons who would like to get into the creatives.
Yeah. Like I said, it has to cover everything from the person who just goes, I wonder, to the person who is ready to invest their life, to the person who is already successful wants to give back, but also needs some support to get to a whole other level
Right.
where they can then now take the culture to that next level. You know? Yeah.
That makes sense, you know.
Yeah, but the Artists Coalition of Trinidad and Tobago suggested that idea for years. What about the role of the artists and stakeholders in informing government policy?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm saying. The council that they want to form.
They wanted to form an artist council, but that was coming from.
Yeah, but that going on for years. That those discussions has been going on for years. What was it keep back with something like that? Why is it now? It keeps coming back up
because
over
it's election time, so you know.
I'm on a. So even though you're saying that they've been going on for years, can you tell me who are the members of the Artists Coalition of Trinidad and Tobago?
No, I can't.
And that's the problem. You should be able to name a few of them because those people should be people that are known to you in some way.
Yeah.
Those people, if you are an artist or if you are, they should be doing work actively. They should be coming on radio. They should have press. Those people need to be active so that the population knows this is what's happening.
That's what's going on.
But the reason why the Artist Coalition now can't do that is because they're not actively supported by the government, as far as I know.
Right.
I don't know. I am not a member of the Artist Coalition of Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know anything about its active running, right?
Right.
So, and I'm an extremely active member of the arts community in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
So we have a problem.
Yeah. And what you said there, Muhammad, you're correct, you know, because it sounds good. It sounds good on paper. But when it's time to put it into action, as you mentioned, Anarian, that the discussion has been going on for years. But have we seen anything come out of the discussions? No. And
well,
tell me.
I wouldn't say we've seen nothing, right? The artist registry, I believe, was an idea that was born out of artists kind of thinking about it and putting things forward, right?
Right. Okay.
The problem is, again, the political will and how closely the government is working with the artists. And then how much of this stuff goes into legislation. So that it isn't just talk, that it becomes actual policy.
Right.
The government has to enforce it and not just pay lip service to whenever it benefits them.
Yeah.
So would you say that is your call to action for more artists to come forward themselves and take an active role in policy and in demanding democracy?
No.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not their job to do. You know, it's not their job to do.
No, but at the same time, we can't say, for example, the minister of this may not be an expert in the field, but the artists them are experts in the field. They know what they want, so they could come.
But the
forward.
minister knows all the artists and know how to listen.
What I'm saying is, the minister, the incumbent prime minister has already said that he's going to set this up. When he sets this up, he's going to make a call. And he's going to call certain people.
To the artists.
What has to happen is that those people have to now identify, well, it's not just us.
Right.
But there are other leaders in the whatever. And then those people who are established on that council have to know that they have a really serious job. And that job, a large part of the proliferation of information and a certain level of inclusivity with the community.
Right.
You understand? And so that's how the work gets done.
Okay. And in your opinion, do you think Trinidad and Tobago and our government and everybody on a whole, do you think they take arts and culture seriously?
I don't think that we have a culture of taking the arts seriously, because one of our downfalls is that we have oil. But looking forward now, we must realize that our future, at least a part of the industry. And so, you know, when we need to represent the country, we've been doing for so many years, and conversation with them. It's okay to go on YouTube and teach yourself. Find a mentor as quickly as you can. Develop your fan base. Visual artist, designer, musician, important, because they are. When nobody not buying tickets, always have that symbiosis.
taking the time to have this call with us, and I
Thank
would
you for
love
having
to.
me. I appreciate it. Oh, take me to a place where my heart don't feel.
Joining us today, and of course, I hope you joining us today, and of course, I hope we have you back another time. And to you, could take what you say and. Thanks so much. Have a safe one.
That
Take
was.
me home.
I do. It would have been nice. You know, how long am I picture with this boy?
You know how long I just want him to sing to me? That's it, Hey guys, it's just about 3:31. We're going to take a break and be back. Continue sending us those messages via WhatsApp 306-1065. And of course, this is We the Youth, going all the way to 5 p.m. We're going to take a break and be back. Keep it locked.
The following is a paid political announcement.
They blocked every national effort to access cross-border gas that would grow our economy. They spread lies about illegal fuel trading with Venezuela. They backed Juan Guaido and called for crippling sanctions. They betrayed our national interest by siding with foreign entities during our renegotiations, which brought back $38 billion. With the UNC, everyone loses. The PNM is a responsible government on a solid foundation. Together, let's write the next chapter. On April 28th, vote PNM.
That was a paid political announcement.
In a time of promises and politics, only one thing truly matters: your voice, your freedom. As Trinidad and Tobago heads to the polls, Freedom 106.5 FM brings you the clearest conversations, the toughest questions, and real issues affecting your vote. No spin, no fluff, just fearless talk radio, live analysis, and unfiltered voices from every corner of the nation. Stream us live at www.freedom1065.com and follow the discussion on our social media pages at Freedom 106.5 FM, your voice, your freedom, only on Freedom 106.5 FM.
The best insight, instant feedback, accountability. The all-new Talk Radio Freedom 106.5.
And welcome back to We the Youth. I'm joined today by my lovely co-host.
Hello, Carrie V.
And Carrie, do you know what the orange economy is?
No, actually, I have an idea, but to say like an example of it and a definition, I don't. But I know you may have one.
I may have a good enough description that our listeners and viewers can hear, but I'm not personally involved in. Actually, I am involved in the economy because I do graphic designing.
Right, nice.
So the orange economy refers to the creative arts, whether it be animation, whether it be drawing, whether it be painting, singing, theater, dance, music,
Right.
spoken word, poem, poetry, singing, anything like that is branded under the orange economy. And with that being said, we have a rich culture in Trinidad and Tobago. We go from Indian to African, Carnival to Diwali, and those different types of dancing. We have African drums. We actually have the only instrument to be invented in the 20th century. And it was most recently made part of our coat of arms. That is the steel pan. And the steel pan, Carrie, if it is you think about it, is one of the greatest pieces of innovation. And I'm teething Rudy's words here because he has sung this in my head so many different times. We literally took a piece of garbage and used it, and we created one of the most beautiful sounds there is in the world. Or if not the most beautiful. You know, I could be biased.
It's the most. It's the most. I seen it.
I've heard steel pan in international music. I've heard it in movies and animation. So many different things. And to know that our culture went from an oil drum thrown away in the side of the road to being the instrument that is being played.
Yeah.
And it's just so amazing knowing what came out of creativity.
But since you are part of the orange economy, let's take a pin there, guys. Send us a message via WhatsApp 306-1065. We are talking about our culture, the orange economy, and we are speaking about the arts, so like musicians, dancers, creative arts, artists. We're talking about the entire
Entertainment sector,
right? So, Anarian, you mentioned that you are in the arts as well. And where do you see Trinidad and Tobago when it comes to culture and the arts? Do you think that we are still stuck in one place, or we are evolving as a nation, as a people?
Now, our artists...
Hey, Rudy. I thought I saw Rudy. Hi, Rudy.
Good afternoon, Tari and Arian, and all our listeners and viewers, to those who may be seeing us online. This has been an excellent conversation so far. And, you all touched on something, as Anarian said, that is very dear to me. I use the steel pan as both a positive and a negative reference point when we're talking about the creative sector and how we've looked at it through a developmental lens. The positive side, as he said, is that it remains the best example of innovation, which is something that is inherent in our people. It's something that we have in abundance.
Right.
But the not so positive side of it, or the unfortunate side of it, is we actually go out of our way to hinder that level of innovation and love of our own. Because even recently, Carrie, you would recall with that entire national discussion about whether to put the steel pan on the coat of arms or not, there were people who simply didn't understand why the steel pan should even be our national instrument. Imagine that
I remember that was a big debate. That was a big debate. People.
Go ahead. Sorry, you finish.
Yeah, people were wondering why the steel pan, why not the tassa drum, and why not all kind of different instruments, and that sparked a heated debate. And I think that our national anthem, our national instrument. Yes, yeah, I get excited about the anthem. Our national instrument, it represents everybody in my view. But for some reason, some persons don't see it that way, Rudy.
Well, I will use the process by which that change took place as a case study for exactly why not 90% of our population loves the steel pan. Because obviously, you will always have a few people who will fall away. But 90+% of us should be so proud of the steel pan. And why not? Take that entire approach that the administration adopted in announcing that change to the coat of arms. Public policy is not something that should be overtly politicized in a party sense. And what I mean by that is such a seismic shift in a change to one of our branding assets, our national branding assets.
Right. Rudy,
never be
Rudy, hold on a minute for me. We get another call. Let's take this call.
Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon. Hi, good afternoon. All right. Try us back 625-2257 or 627-3223. Yes, Rudy, let's go. Let's continue.
So I was just saying that announcement should never have been made on a political platform. As a matter of fact, even though the idea had come out of consultation that a committee had completed when they were looking at symbols, statues, and other things. If, as an administration, you decided that that was the one idea you wanted to pull out of the report from that committee, then you should have asked either the same committee or to the discussion point you all were having earlier, brought a new committee together with various and diverse stakeholders that represent almost all segments of the population, especially young people,
Right.
and give them that extract and say, look, this idea has been suggested. Can you all go and canvass and get input and persuade people to go along with this? And then you could announce it on a national platform so that people don't paint it, whether deliberately or not, in a political way. And this is the issue with culture.
Hold that thought,
A lot of our culture has been politicized, unfortunately.
Yeah. Hold 1 minute. Let's see if we can take this call. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Hey.
Karvi and your guest.
Hi, good afternoon. Talk to us.
I want to add my voice to this conversation. Firstly, I am an advocate of the promotion of the steel pan.
Right.
However, the steel pan is not the only instrument that was established in this country, was invented in this country. What we call the dhantal that the classical and chutney singers use came out of the plantation with the crowbar, that piece of iron they used to use to tie the horses, and the horseshoe. And if you look at the dhantal, it has the same shape. So that was invented in Trinidad here. And most of us, including the chutney singers and others, fail to recognize that. So I thought I should mention that to you, something that many people do not know or ignore the fact that it was invented here. That's the first thing. The second thing I wanted to suggest here is that we have created the steel pan, but we have not properly promoted the steel pan. When I was a young child growing up, Carnival Tuesday, by 10 o'clock, I by the Shogunas Market Square to push pan because I enjoyed doing that. That was significant to me. At that time, did not have DJ music on the stage.
Right.
And pan was used. And I crave the day that comes back. And what we have done, we have poisoned the minds of people to use DJ music instead of the pan. So trying to promote the pan, and many people say good things about the pan, but we don't practice it. I'll tell you, Kariti, you will go to a prayers, you will go to a fete, you will go to a wedding and so on. If you see pan, you see one person playing one tune, two tunes on a pan, and at the end of it, it's DJ music all the time.
Right.
In the churches and the temples and so on, you may see just a one performance, but you don't see pan. And therefore, we talk about the promotion of pan. We do not promote it.
Right.
If we don't promote it here in this country, how do we
expect
it to be
correct? I understand what you're saying. All right, buddy.
We talk a lot about pan. We only talk about it. We do not.
We don't act on it.
Do it.
All right, buddy.
I thought that I should mention that. I thank you. Enjoy.
Thanks so much for your input. And he's actually correct. We just talk about and pan, but where are we pushing it?
Everything.
Where are we pushing it? Where are we pushing the arts and the culture?
Sorry, I know you may have to go to a break, but that was the point I took away from Muhammad when he was asked, do we take our culture seriously? And culture is not carnival, by the way.
Of course not.
We use these words interchangeably.
Yeah.
But culture is really a description of what makes our society unique at a very quintessential level, almost like the soul of the country. That is what culture is about. So, sometimes people get it right when you ask, well, you travel or somebody says, well, how are your people? How are they? If I were to meet a Trinidadian, how would I know that they are from there? And sometimes we get it right when we say things like, well, every Trinidad and Tobago citizen is at their heart a very inclusive and welcoming person because we have everything in Trinidad.
Yeah.
And that is the beginning of describing culture.
Right.
And one of the reasons that I agree that the steel pan is a better choice for our national instrument is because the steel pan is the most universal instrument ever. You can play anything I have heard classical music.
So Rudy, let's stick up in there. We gotta take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. All right. So guys, if you're now joining us, good afternoon. This is We the Youth right here on Freedom 106.5 FM. It's just about 3:45. Coming up at the top of the hour, we have a 4 p.m. news courtesy Republic Bank Limited. We're gonna take a quick break and be back. Keep it locked.
Tune in to Betterments with host Space, Monday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. for a program that educates and is solution-based. Space tackles the issues that matter to you, providing a platform to speak your mind and find solutions. That's Betterments with Base, with a focus on education and resolution. This is all about making things better for you. You can reach us via phone and WhatsApp to share your thoughts and find solutions to the issues that matter to you. So if you want to make a difference and have your voice heard, tune into Freedom 106.5 FM and join us for Betterments with Base, Monday through Thursday from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Better for you. Only on Freedom 106.5 FM, where we believe that your voice matters.
For generations we've been serving you, giving you the best for less, that's what we do. Friendly faces, fresh foods on every aisle. At JTA Supermarkets, you are sure to smile. The best prices each day. Come to JTA. You feel like family. Here at JTA. Shop safe and happily. When you're at JTA, there's more in store today. It's all at JTA. Whoa, at JTA. JTA Supermarkets. Your total bill always costs less at JTA.
The following is a paid political announcement.
They drained $18 billion in cash from the NGC. They squandered $24 billion from the Treasury in their final months. They approved contracts padded by hundreds of millions for their financiers and friends. They used the offices of the President, Parliament, and Cabinet to protect corrupt cronies, as was done in Section 34. Now, those friends and financiers are trying to buy this election and their freedom. Don't let them. If the UNC wins, law, order, and justice lose. The PNM is a responsible government on a solid foundation. Together, let's write the next chapter. On April 28th, vote PNM.
That was a paid political announcement.
The best insight, instant feedback, accountability. The all-new Talk Radio Freedom 106.5.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to We the Youth.
Gentlemen.
Yes, gentlemen. Welcome back to We the Youth.
Hi, Rudy. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here, and I held my point as you promised.
Yes,
because it's an important one to make, right? You all were asking the question, why don't we have this overwhelming national love for not just the steel pan, but as the other caller said, the dantal, for our beautiful traditional mask.
Mm-hmm.
For other aspects of culture that make up who we are as a people.
Right.
One of the reasons, and when you talk about culture, for example, it's also a love of our own people themselves. How many persons spend the time to learn about our elders and quote them? You see statues all over the country. Some people didn't even know who Winifred Atwell was until we renamed Queen's Hall after her.
Right.
Why did that take so long, Carrie?
So
the reason is that we one of the main reasons is that we have not even re-engineered our curriculum to incorporate these facts and aspects of educating young people about what really Trinidad and Tobago is all about.
Right. So stick up in there, Rudy. We have a call, so let's take it and see who's there. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello. Good evening.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome.
Hey,
good afternoon. Welcome to you.
Ashrak here.
Hey, talk to us, Fasha.
I'm going to listen to you all, the different cultures and so on. I know I would have thought I didn't ain't anybody looking at the fact like, you know, the pan itself, right? Or even an instrument, because you know it has been research has shown that, you know, people who are involved in music, they don't like playing an instrument and so on, tend not to have any, you know, the violent tendencies that, you know, that part of the brain is kind of submerged, or kind of like, you know, is made kind of almost non-active by people who know to play an instrument and so on, or who ingrain in them from small. I know I would have thought that in the Ministry of Education have tried their best to, like, in every school, when that days it used to be like that, they didn't buy instruments much, but they used to have a little piano and thing, where they, you know, they make sure every child passes through that form of discipline them.
Right.
Just like, you know, it's just like the scouts, or like the cadet training. And that should be mandatory in all schools, because I would like to suggest a city day when each school, you know, they go start the government school, you know, the public schools, because the denominational schools has it to their measure, you know, with the pan and different disciplines and the scouts, because the scouts are more alive in the denominational schools than the government schools. So they need that organization needs to be funded. I mean, you know, sometimes we start to fund some NGOs, you know, sometimes we just lose the way, but in a way, look at how best we can assist. We just try and more assist the children who have to travel to and from, because if the traveling with your children and snack and thing for school is done enough. And have to deal with that extra activity like the scout and the cadets and things. It'll be a real sacrifice that the parents go to December every day to be able, those about to do it, will be real straight. And those events will so shape. I know that they'll kind of make up for the children with the children who do have that kind of guidance home. I don't know, that will feel that those different entities that are meant for the scouts and the cadets and these things. But I know every day with the fact that everybody from grandmother to grandfather has to work right now, these entities, the people the NGOs who used to assist with their spare time, nobody has spare time again, because you know, the economic impact has so hit everybody, that's grandfather, grandmother, everybody look for some little dollar to pull in, when in the olden days and years gone by, they used to be home and had the time to kind of like go and assist the scouts, assist the cadets, assist these people. And also the Ministry of Education look serious, look at that, because at the end of the day, this common chance, I mean, we know is a way to measure the children, but at the end of the day, that kill everything else, but kill God, kill all other aspects of the children's natural life. And we need to really revisit, because those are the things that are working before. Those I think that work for us and our parents.
But I think it work for the youth now. Gotcha.
We want to know why they're working now, because we want to know what's going on in the youth, but at the end of the day, the things that shape us and mold us and my parents no longer did.
As you see. Gotcha.
But Carrie, the caller is raising an important point. But our generation, the millennials, and those that came before us, as Rashoti said, we go to raise sheep. And it is up to the elders to ensure that the stories, the morals, the patriotism, the knowledge rolls down into the younger ones. The younger ones don't get it by just waking up and breathing it through the oxygen in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
A deliberate, intentional public policy has to be put in place that these things are transmitted and transferred down the line. And the caller talked about what is necessary in schools. But up to today, and we are going to have an entire episode dedicated to education, but up to today, Carrie, with all of the resources that Trinidad and Tobago has had, education policy has failed because there's inequity across education. I am a proud graduate, as you know, of Queen's Royal College.
You never forget it at all.
School. But let me be very frank. In a real way, we should never have had need of prestige schools.
Correct.
Every school should be a prestige school within their districts. Every school should have equitable access within that zone. If a child, we spoke about sports yesterday. If somebody wants to be a swimmer, a tennis player, a basketballer, the same thing goes for the orange economy. If someone wants to be a flautist, a panist, a pianist, if they want to be a dancer, an actor, there are many children in Trinidad and Tobago, Carrie, who will never have that exposure or have that access. It's too expensive. They have to come to Port of Spain. If they're in Tobago, where they're going sometimes. So this is how we need to rethink public policy when it comes to the orange economy and the creative sector. Because if we don't look at the other sectors and craft policy that integrate, we're not going to get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, really we understand that, and I know we're gonna have a more in-depth conversation when it is we do come back from the break. But just to set the tone and the context for those who are now joining us, where you are live with We the Youth, where we do take your calls and messages. Our topic today is our culture, the orange economy, where young people can get involved, where we want to highlight and showcase how they can build the future through their creativity. And interestingly enough, this topic comes right after yesterday's topic on animation and esports and gaming, where that was the digital side of the orange economy. But when it is we look at the creative sector, there are schools actually, Kerry and Rudy, that caters to enhancing the...
Yeah, but how much schools though?
Well, the only one I know is the National University.
Okay.
But just like
So
Rudy
you mean
came
at
from...
a university level.
At a university
But
level.
I talking about
Actually,
like...
no, there's UE.
I'm speaking
But I think
about
the caller was referring to
primary
right,
school
Karen?
and even secondary school. And let me just interject here, right? Now, for CXC, I did theater arts. And that was just Form 4 and Form 5 because that was one of the subjects that I had to do based on the grouping.
The grouping that you were in.
But for the arts and culture, I think, in my view, in the primary school and secondary school level, they don't have enough opportunities for anyone, any student who would like to, let's say, for instance, be a musician, or they would like to be in dance.
Right.
It don't have enough avenues for them.
But is that also a call to the older generations who are the parents who push their kids in the traditional form?
Not necessarily, because it has some parents who would support their children if they want to be in the arts.
The minority. So I think there needs to be a paradigm shift in the culture that, yes, you can go out there. I know a lot of people who could play guitar, who could play
So
piano.
you're saying that the parents should
things like that. Let me finish my point. That deter their children from following that route because they look at the American society of culture and how people go out to Hollywood and they don't make it.
But do you think is it because we don't take culture and the arts seriously?
Well, that is one
I
thing.
think it goes straight back to that.
It goes straight back to there because if it is I'm a parent and I'm not seeing any advancement when it comes to arts and culture, I definitely will say, hey, nah, you don't go into that singing and dancing because it have nowhere to go from there unless they jump on a plane and they fly out and go.
What is important to people, money follows it.
Correct.
Naturally.
And money makes the world go around.
While people will pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for different types of tickets, think about when you travel and you go to a very important artist concert.
Rudy, stick up in there. We have our 4 p.m. news next. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation, all right?
Yes.
All right, thanks so much. So, guys, we have our 4 p.m. news coming up next. This is We the Youth, going until 5 p.m. Or 4 p.m. news is next, the courtesy Republic Bank Limited. Keep it locked.
Expression is who we are. Take control. The all-new Talk Radio. Freedom 106.5. Speak your mind.
This is Freedom 106.5 FM, powered by the TBC Radio Network, the nation's biggest and best network, included sister stations, Sky 99.5 FM, Vibe City 105 FM, 95, The Ultimate One, Sangeet 106.1 FM, and Slam 100.5 FM. This is the 4 p.m. news, courtesy Republic Bank Limited.
Good afternoon, I'm Doris Polo with headline news on CNC3, The Guardian and the TBC Radio Network. Incumbent MP for Lahaka Talparo, Foster Cummings, is accusing the United National Congress of engaging in voter suppression tactics in the lead-up to the April 28th general election. Speaking at a political meeting in his constituency last night, Cummings claimed the UNC has been paying substantial sums to social media influencers to discourage young people from voting. According to him, influencers with over 30,000 followers are being paid $5,000 per week. Those with 40,000 followers receive $7,500 weekly, and individuals with 50,000 followers are reportedly earning up to $10,000 per week in exchange for posting anti-PNM content multiple times a day. Cummings likened the alleged strategy to the controversial Do So campaign, which was linked to Cambridge Analytica during the 2010 general election.
Because they feel if they suppress the vote, if they could fool you and encourage you to stay home and talk about I don't vote and yellow is the code, etc., they can steal government and get back in the treasury and take your money and put it in their back bedroom that they have prepared for $100 bills.
Senior PNM members are today dismissing their former colleague John Jeremy's surprise endorsement of the UNC last evening. Jeremy, who served twice in the Patrick Manning administration, says the PNM government is a failure and called for total support for the UNC. However, PNM leader Dr. Keith Rowley has seemingly dismissed this switch in allegiance. Responding to Guardian Media via WhatsApp, Dr. Rowley would only say, quote, "I have 5 dogs and I am handy with a shovel. So John Jeremy does not faze me or the PNM." Meanwhile, Fitzgerald Hines says he's not angry by the development, but rather sickened by it. Hines says Jeremy has reminded him of Mariano Brown and who he called the funeral gate crasher, undoubtedly referring to Karen Nunes Teixeira. Prime Minister Stuart Young did not respond. In crime news, the 24-year-old woman who was shot while driving along Oxford Street, Port of Spain on March 26th has died. Soraya Harrigan of Diego Martin was driving a Nissan Tida near Shaffoot Court when gunmen opened fire on the vehicle. Harrigan was shot in the neck, while her boyfriend, who was in the back seat, was shot in both legs. The duo were taken to the hospital, but this morning Harrigan succumbed to her injuries. Region 1 homicide investigators are continuing inquiries. This has been Headline News. Look out for another news update at the top of the hour.
And that was the 4 p.m. news on Freedom 106.5 FM, powered by the TBC Radio Network, the nation's biggest and best network. The 4 p.m. news was courtesy Republic Bank Limited.
That email or SMS seems suspicious. Be aware of its intent, could be vicious. That phone call or voice note sounds too serious, too good to be true, probably fictitious. Don't be fooled by online imposters, promising things that are gonna cost ya. Be aware, protect your data and money. Stay aware, stay alert, stay secure.
You can outsmart the scammers. A message from Republic Bank. Report any suspicious activity to customer care at rfhl.com.
This is Freedom 106.5 FM, 106.5 FM. Your solution for current affairs and talk. Join the conversation today as we build a better nation. Insightful discussions and interviews on national progress, the latest developments in environmental, social, and governance, plus corporate social responsibility. Freedom 106.5 FM gives you a voice. Freedom to inspire. Freedom to change. Speak your mind with Freedom 106.5 FM. Power up your Saturdays with Carrie V's electrifying energy on Speak Your Mind Saturdays. Here, you're not just tuning in, you're transforming the show into a vibrant tapestry of a opinions, laughter, and spirited debates. Get set for a day packed with the fun, the burning issues, and Carrie V's infectious personality. Join the fun, fuel the conversation, speak your mind. Saturdays with Carrie V on Freedom 106.5 FM.
Are you ready for the heat, excitement, and music? Get ready to tap into the source for all the latest tea on the Caribbean's top performers. It's Zag right here on CNC3. Stay ahead of the culture and get the behind-the-scenes access you've always wanted with exclusive celebrity interviews, red carpet moments, and news scoops you just can't miss. It's our culture brought to you live and direct. Get ready. It's time for Zag. Only on CNC3, premiering February 4th and airing every Tuesday at 8 p.m.
Expression is who we are. Take control. The all-new talk radio. Freedom 106.5. Speak your mind.
Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. It's just about 6 minutes after 4 in the beautiful, awesome, terrific Trinidad and Tobago. I tell you, first we so sweet. There's diabetes in the place, so no. First Trinidad and Tobago sweet. Welcome back. This is We the Youth. They're here with Carrie V, Anarian Mason, and of course, Rudy's on the line. Hello, Rudy and Anarian.
Hello, and welcome back to We the Youth. Rudy, are you still there?
Rudy, are you there? It doesn't sound so.
Doesn't sound
well, like
that
he
way.
pay bill or what going on with he?
Oh, I now got a message. Tell Carrie, call me back.
I will call you back momentarily, Rudy. But we are here.
We are here, and we in studio. Our guest has arrived.
Yay!
So allow me to introduce one that I know personally from university, and I've met him a couple of times. We had a conversation about 2, maybe 3 years ago. I met him on the cross in San Fernando. He tried to sell me a ticket.
Hey.
Not
Did you buy the ticket? I hope you're saying yes.
No,
I buy the ticket.
I was getting prepared to go somewhere else.
So you didn't buy the ticket?
I didn't buy the ticket.
Why you didn't do that? You see, look.
First impression sometimes.
Yeah, right? Right?
Right? So I'm going to introduce Classic. He goes as Classic, CLASS .xic.
Hi, Classic.
You see the creativity is in his name already.
No, when I saw the name, and that's why I asked you your name, I was like, how I pronounce in this class.x? I wonder. So that's why I said let me ask you. But it's a very awesome way how you spelt it.
Thank
and
you.
I mean it's a simple pronunciation. Classic.
Yeah.
So Classic, welcome to the studio.
Welcome
and
to here.
You brought a guest who I met only yesterday in passing on the road.
Yes.
So you could probably introduce him because I don't want to get anything wrong.
All right.
Good afternoon to you. How you doing?
Afternoon, I'm very well.
You look well. You look well. Everything nice. So tell us a bit about yourself. What's your name?
Well, my name is Shondell Smith.
Hi, Shondell Smith.
Right, music name Young King.
Young King.
Right.
Nice.
It's spelled YVNGKING.
You see?
Yeah.
Like that real cool though. How will it just come up with them kind of spelling?
It's to get away from other people who are like close to similar names as us.
That makes sense.
As possible, as much as
I love
possible.
that. I love that. Young King.
Yeah.
I love that. Nice. So it's nice meeting you. And nice meeting you as well, Classic.
Yes.
Can I say classic or classic?
I mean, you could pronounce it how you like.
I get you today. So, well, let's get the conversation going, all right?
Yes.
So we are talking about the orange economy, meaning that persons in the arts, in the creatives. So let's get a little background of you guys. We'll start with Classic first, and then we'll start with you, Young King. All right? So, yeah. So tell us a bit about yourself, Classic. Where you from? Where you healing? Like what type of music that you sing? Talk to us a bit.
All right. Classic. My real name is Clarence Marshall. However, I am 29. I grew up Toko.
Oh.
I'm born Monto, however. So I still have a tongue in me.
Yeah, still have something in you.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I've been doing music. Well, according to my mom, she couldn't stop me from crying.
Oh,
that came into singing.
And you see, just like that, it worked them vocal cords.
Yeah, she say they used to be singing to the couch. I don't know why. But, I enter band practice. From Pan,
right.
I started doing a little keyboards. I like keyboards much though. Pan all the way. Still pan all the way.
Interesting.
Because we were just having a conversation about pan, but we will get into that with him after because I have some questions about, pan. So are you a panist or just a pan player? Because, there's a difference. Apparently, I learned that like about 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, like the panist is the one to play the music that they hear and they and then it have the pan player.
Yeah, that they just, just play music.
Yeah.
Beat the pan.
Yeah. So which one are you?
I see.
I believe I'm a panist. While playing pan, being in bands and beating the pan.
Right.
I used to be a pan player.
Nice.
There was Mr. Harold Headley was his name. Right. He used to teach UE.
Right.
I believe a lecturer.
Right.
And he taught us how to play the pan properly.
All right.
And how to decipher music. So I ended up doing little courses. My love though, however, is production.
Ah, nice.
Yes, I can read and write music. I do,
That's a skill, you see that? Because
Yes,
I
it
can't
is.
even read music at all. Like, if you didn't put the letters at the bottom, I can't. So that's a skill by itself.
That is another part of the creative sector.
Yeah.
So, it's not only about the performing aspect, it's about the production, the development, having the ear for it.
Nice.
Yes.
So, Young King, tell us a little bit about yourself and your history and how you got into the orange economy.
Right. So me, as growing up, is like it was kind of a hard life. So my only thing to get away from like the loneliness and thing would be music. I used to listen to a lot of music, and I was never into violence and things. So it was always R&B.
You see you
thing
talking
like
anything,
Nelly
man.
and-
Oh gosh.
So I gravitate to that sort of music. So my genre is just different.
Right.
It's a whole different ball game. So I do real music with my mother. Cause my mother do plenty music in school. Do calypso, soca thing.
Nice.
Enter little calypso competitions. Mother helped me write songs. We win. It shocked me.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah,
I
man.
used to do parang, right?
Who you
Parang in
saying?
school. I was the person on the box bass.
What?
Right? Everybody that loved me for that. Again, we come and win. I wasn't even expecting it, but it
What you
happened.
get you? Nice.
And as growing up, I just fall in love with starting to learn how to produce something.
Nice.
No, I'm not more like classic kind of certified in it.
Right.
But I always had an ear for it.
Oh.
So playing up with.
So what's the
my
difference?
production,
What's the difference between the two? Having
knowing exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
And hearing it.
Oh.
So he will know exactly what he's doing.
Right.
But I will listen and know, all right, I want this a little more low or a little more high.
Oh, you see the same skill
So
that
it's
we're
like
talking about,
Interpretation.
Yeah.
And one thing I must say that I like about persons in the creatives, especially musicians, producers, is that you all have this keen sense of hearing, and that creative kind of, I don't know, I didn't born with it. I had no time in my time in belt bust.
Everybody creative
Like-
in their own way. Like right now, you being creative. You wouldn't
thank
be able to
But-
talk to be as creative as you do right now.
But there's a
is just your
development.
way.
I'll take that.
There's a development.
It's a
too,
development.
So you could develop that keen hearing too.
So let me jump straight into the entire conversation here. Where do you see us here, Trinidad and Tobago? Where do you see us now in the music industry? Do you think that we are evolving as a country, as a citizen, as the arts?
Yeah.
What do
only
you think?
music, but in the
arts
whole
in
orange
general, yeah.
economy side.
We'll hear from you after, Young King.
In the arts, it might seem biased. So I want to say, just calypso, soca, it has evolved.
Right.
The production, the way they do the videos, the way they perform and all, the way they right now has evolved. But other than that, there's other genres in Trinidad and Tobago that is there and has been present even long before I even come on the scene. Hip hop has been there before me. Reggae has always been there.
Right.
There's also jazz, there's also reggae. And whereas the creativity has evolved, the platform to be heard on doing those genres has not evolved much.
Oh, right. So here's what. Let's take a pin there. We're going to take a quick break and come back with more of this interview, all right? So, guys, if you're now joining us, good afternoon and welcome. Freedom 106.5 FM. Carrie V is here. This is We the Youth. We are about to take a really quick break. When we come back, much more of the discussions with Young King and Classic. This is We the News. We'll be back.
In a time of promises and politics, only one thing truly matters: your voice, your freedom. As Trinidad and Tobago heads to the polls, Freedom 106.5 FM brings you the clearest conversations, the toughest questions, and real issues affecting your vote. No spin, no fluff, just fearless talk radio, live analysis, and unfiltered voices from every corner of the nation. Stream us live at www.freedom1065.com and follow the discussion on our social media pages at Freedom 106.5 FM, your voice, your freedom, only on Freedom 106.5 FM.
Start your day with hard-hitting interviews and news with the Morning Rumble. Weekdays 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Freedom 106.5 FM. Join Satish Mahabir as he tackles the issues and controversial topics.
You don't need to tell the public why he appealing.
Well, I think he should.
No, what you think he should do and what he has to do is two totally different things.
You'll hear from the experts and have the chance to speak your mind on the topics of the day.
Do you have a question for our guest?
Yes, sir. I
Get to the question, please.
Non-topic is off limits on the Morning Rumble. So whether you're just starting your day or stuck in traffic, join us weekdays from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. for a morning show that will leave you informed, fired up, and ready to take on the world. The Morning Rumble with Satish Mahabir, only on Freedom 106.5 FM.
The following is a paid political announcement.
They attack CARICOM. They undermine local institutions such as the EBC, the court, and high independent offices. Dangerous gimmicks to slow their political demise. They are coarse, irresponsible, and reckless in their handling of diplomatic relationships. Their party is in shambles, with mass resignations and in-depth public warnings from party leaders. They specialize in corruption, confusion, and chaos. They are not ready. They are not responsible. With the UNC, everyone loses. The PNM is a responsible government on a solid foundation. Together, let's write the next chapter. On April 28th, vote PNM.
That was a paid political announcement.
Now, a station that's giving you back the power to speak your mind. The all-new talk radio, Freedom 106.5.
Welcome back, Freedom 106.5 FM. Just about 17 minutes after 4. And we are here with the Classic and Young King. I really like that name, Young King. I don't know which one I like most. Young or King? Which one? Which one do you think? Which one really suits you?
I think Young better because this show is called We the Youth.
Oh well, yes, true. So you have a point.
I'll be more biased towards the young part.
I like that one.
Nice. So we were having a discussion about where do you think we are at as a society when it comes to the arts, and you were explaining it. So let's continue that conversation. So do you think we are still in the same space like 1962 or even, let's say, 2000? Let me bring it up a little more. Where do you think we're at? 2000, good. From 2000 to 2025, how do you think we have evolved as time passed when it comes to the arts?
If at all.
I mean, evolvement is there. The artists, the actors, the producers, they all are evolving. Even in soca, it is evolving.
How is it evolving in soca? Yeah, just talk closer to the mic.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it like, you see how we would have the collaborations with dancehall artists and soca artists? Is it like that? Is
no,
that what
the
you mean?
production itself.
The production is... No, I don't know nothing about production, eh?
So the writing, the production, the way how things is done, the music videos itself, the way how they perform, the way how they carry about themselves.
Oh,
right.
You know, even the actors, because I've been doing little stuff with Squeezy Rankin, little movies. Even Young King here, he has been on Snitch. And movies then,
right,
to now it has changed.
Right.
I mean, look at even Certified Samson. Look at his stuff. Even Rudy, look at his stuff. Look at people who's doing their own stuff. Compared 10 years to now, it's different.
Right.
And I think technology might have a part to play with that.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
Right. So that is what I want to see. Right? That is how it evolved to me.
Yeah.
Because long time it would have been harder because you might have to push in a different way. Now everything is social.
Right.
Right. So you
Not
can go
just
on the
that
media. Right. And you can more promote. But long time say you could sing something. But now you can sing that same thing, but just by how it is now, it can sound better.
True.
You understand?
Now you mentioned earlier, Young King, that you like R&B.
Yeah,
So let's say, for
R&B,
instance, R&B hip hop, Trinidadian artists. No, me. This is just me. I could be wrong.
I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah,
and
because
I feel in that boat
listen,
too.
I love R&B. You could get me listening to R&B 12 o'clock in the day, hot sun. I listening to that. Where are we with these R&B artists? How come we don't hear about them? Because when I think about evolution, now soca, calypso, we know that diet, and that's what we hear. So how come we don't hear much R&B from our local artists? Well, what is the problem? Why are we not going in that genre of music? In my view, I don't know if I'm not seeing or I'm not looking in the direction, but talk to me. What do you think about that?
You have an answer for them?
You sound like Rick
Because the question just answering it will hurt some people.
It's somehow we that is,
We the youth, you know, listen, we and me no disrespect, but we need to talk the real things. Yeah?
Just as you say, you would love to hear R&B. You love R&B. But in Trinidad, people that say they don't want to hear R&B.
They don't want to hear. They only want to hear steam.
That is not true.
They only want to hear steam.
Just like Carrie said,
majority.
We the youth want to hear steam. That is what's going on. But it has steam R&B, you know.
Yes,
yeah, but it has steam R&B
as
though.
I say that, when you say steam R&B, I don't really like the set of steam music and thing.
Well, I just
but
say steam.
Have one or two
that
is kind of catch me because it make a kind of way they make the beat or the way they make the music. It come like a R&B but steamy
yeah,
R&B.
but you know the thing, and we know what we talking about. It have them, and we're not saying that it had to be this one way. It had to be like that, but it have some persons, and even the older folks as well. They like R&B as well, and I'm very sure that they would appreciate if we get local R&B artists. So that's what I mean, like the evolution of our music. Because once we know soca and calypso, we know that for sure, but I heard a song from Nyla Blackman. I think the name of the song was Enough, but it was just like a snippet of it. And I fall in love with that song and I can't find it because it sounded so nice to hear local artists singing R&B.
Yeah. No, but there's a lot of us. Huh?
Yeah, well, and that's what our goal is. I want to hear.
So, based on one of the shows that we did last week, the people talked about winners. And that was with the agriculture show. So I'm going to bring back the same question. We know we have winners in the soca and the calypso field. We have Marshall, we have Kess, we have this one, that one. What about the hip-hop scene? What about the R&B scene? Do we have any winners for young people to fashion themselves behind?
Or look up to? What do you think?
Yes, me.
I know going and say classic and young king,
Look up to me.
just look up to myself. Because who I gonna look up to as a big hip-hop artist in Trinidad?
You're right.
So I just watch myself as the best hip hop artist.
No, let me tell you something.
There's a lot of others. You can look up to them. The pioneer, the paved ways. We could sit here now and we could talk about R&B and hip hop and.
Now let me just tell you this one time. Only leaving from here until listening a verse of me in R&B or something, Only leaving from here, just putting that out there. But nice. So let's get back to it. Well, elections is coming up, April 28th. What do you think? What do you expect to see when it comes to policy? Let's say, for instance, whether it's the Ministry of Culture and the Arts. What do you hope to see coming from that ministry? To help in the arts and culture.
I could say all I need to see is some openings.
Openings? What do you mean? Talk to us.
Like, to me, people might get vexed when I say it.
Once it radio friendly.
Once it radio friendly.
But when Kamala was in power,
no
matter what she do, no matter what she do, it's like I just see openings. It was easy for me to be out there, talk to people.
Okay.
People was more calm. People had more opportunities.
Right.
I don't know what was going on or why, because I already did up.
So it's more. So it's more of open. You want to see more opportunities
Right.
for
So it
young
don't matter
artists.
who in charge.
Yes.
Right.
More
So
opportunities.
You're telling them out there now what you want to see opportunities.
Opportunities, because
yeah.
it had a real plenty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they going now.
All right.
I would say this.
Let me hear you, Classic.
Right. Opportunities is one, but personally, me, opportunities is what you create.
Right.
You can create opportunity for yourself. Right. What I would say is a proper thing that should be put in place is this thing where we can't be paid internationally.
Tell me, what do you mean?
Whereas, let me say, I'm doing music. I have
Right.
a Spotify. I have this. I have that. No, it's really hard to get our funds into our bank account and then draw it out.
And I have someone in mind who will call in at around 4:33 who will explain that whole thing to you.
Because we most of our artists who is down and but not down but under, we always get this blockage where we can't get our funds, we can't get paid.
Also, like if you go perform for somebody, you can't like that. You mean?
No, like even say, let me say,
so for example, come like social, internet wise.
Right.
Because TikTok opened up something recently where you can monetize it, right?
Okay, yeah.
No, I'm in Trinidad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me say I made roughly 3,000 US off of TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get that money?
So you ain't have like a card or something. You
So
just
even
that
though you have
PayPal or something.
That is the thing. To have a
itself.
PayPal account or a Cash App account, you need a credit card.
Yeah.
To have a credit card in Trinidad and Tobago, you need to have a job, you need to be employed for a certain number of time, or you need to have the
and
funds.
even if you have a business, you have to.
And most of the time, artists, local Trinidad artists,
That's okay.
Yeah, my bad. Right, are unemployed, and we do our own self-employment.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like if they would have to open a business and do the whole process.
No, that
for
is
them
our
to get
next
one of that.
process. There, that is our next set of circles for us too.
What
do you mean by that? Because I recently opened my own business, and
were you unemployed before you opened a business?
Yes.
Okay.
So I opened my own business as a sole trader.
Right.
And what that process to me wasn't that difficult.
No, I can understand what Classic is talking about here, Anarian, because he would be a musician, and in order for you to open a business, if you're opening a business, let's say for instance you are the business, you're supposed to show how you have been making money for a certain amount of time or certain amount of years, and you have to have your ducks in order.
Yeah.
You have to have everything
and that's our next thing. Most artists not that organized.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
So that is on behalf of artists, please be organized and learn the business itself.
The business
and
aspect
put
of
all
it.
yourself in gear.
Yeah.
Because that is where we lose out. And I notice I say we.
Yeah.
Right? We lose out because we don't learn the business and we are too lazy to really sit. We're not lazy to sit down and do we work. We want to write, we want to sing, we want to produce, but we're too lazy to sit down and really start to put things in order.
That's what Freetown Collective he mentioned earlier.
Exactly.
He said financial literacy. If there's any youth or anyone wants to go into that field of being a musician, they must learn financial literacy and the business aspect of the brand.
That was his last main point for the first segment of the show. So
nice.
I guess that is very important because it was reiterated here.
Yeah.
And that and documents too.
Documents.
It have a lot of us who don't have all the documents.
Yeah. But that is needed
important.
That is needed to
because when you start the business,
they want this, they want that, and if you don't have it, you have a chance fight up the game.
What I'm hearing here, Narian, right? So this is one of the challenges that they face when it comes to actually getting their foot on the ground, on solid ground, more or less. Because in order for you to get a credit card, let's see. In order for you to get a credit card, you have to have some type of history of finances. If you have a brand, you have to see that money flowing through the brand right through, and then they'll say, you know what, come back next year now because we need one more year again for you to. And that is where the challenges would start. And now because you haven't sorted that out as yet, when it's time for you to receive money on an international level, It
Sometimes
will
they
cause
receive
problems.
work too.
You see, and you ain't gonna be able to get it. So how we could fix that? But before you go there, 4:30, I had to take a next break. All right. So when we come back, we're gonna be talking about how can this be fixed, because we have persons listening who can actually fix it. Yeah. So when we come back, we're gonna be discussing more. It's just about 4:30, guys, and this is We the Youth. We are here with the Classic and Young King. We'll be back with more. Keep it locked.
Parents and guardians, teach your children what is an okay touch and what is not. An okay touch is one that makes you feel happy and safe, while a touch that is not okay hurts or makes you feel uncomfortable. Children should know the difference and never keep inappropriate touching a secret. Open communication and trust in relationships will allow children to speak up about things that happen to them. Child abuse can be prevented. Education is key. To prevent child abuse, contact the Children's Authority at 996. Child protection is everybody's business.
In a time of promises and politics, only one thing truly matters: your voice, your freedom. As Trinidad and Tobago heads to the polls, Freedom 106.5 FM brings you the clearest conversations, the toughest questions, and real issues affecting your vote. No spin, no fluff, just fearless talk radio, live analysis, and unfiltered voices from every corner of the nation. Stream us live at www.freedom1065.com and follow the discussion on our social media pages at Freedom 106.5 FM, your voice, your freedom, only on Freedom 106.5 FM.
The best insight, instant feedback, accountability. The all-new Talk Radio Freedom 106.5.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to We the Youth. And we do have a very interesting caller on the line who's also my co-host, Rudolph and MG. Welcome back, Rudy.
Good afternoon again to everyone,
hey,
especially
Rudy.
our guests who joined us, Classic and Young King.
Yes, good afternoon.
I've been enjoying the conversation. You know, to our guests in particular, not just the two of you all today, but the other young leaders who have joined We the Youth since we started last week, it is clear that young people have all of the solutions that are required. You all know the thing. You all know exactly what the barriers are, what some of the solutions should be, because you are facing it daily. And you often, I'm sure, think to yourself, if this was slightly different, if this process were more efficient, if certain amount of information was made available, if the business ecosystem was reorganized, I would be much more successful. I would spend more time creating and blessing people with my art than feeling stressed out. And I can tell you that there are a number of existing policies that have been developed. We spoke about this on previous episodes of We the Youth. These policies sit there at various ministries and they languish, they become dusty on shelves because we have an implementation deficit. So one of my former roles was the director of marketing for the film company. We don't have that company anymore. It's now encapsulated within Creative TT. And I'm, to the guests there, you all are familiar with Creative TT. Have you ever engaged with them?
I've engaged once, twice.
Yeah, you know about
a couple of times.
With who? I didn't hear that clearly.
Creative TT.
Creative TT.
Yeah.
Who are they?
Well, let me, yes, you all go ahead and answer Carrie's question. How far you get with that answer.
Who is Creative TT?
All right, so
what is that?
I mean, in my language, I would say there are something like a label,
right?
More like a school system as well, right? They give seminars, where they teach about musical business. They try to help you get into, as I said, they do marketing as well too. Right. They help implement shows. They also endorse shows. So like let me say, if I'm doing a show next week, being with Creative TT, there's a platform where artists also listeners can hear and be invited to the show. They will have first-hand stuff to it. I mean, that's just my gist of them.
A support to artists.
In the professional sense, Creative TT they fall under the Ministry of Trade and Industry.
Trade
and Industry, and their mandate is to stimulate and facilitate business development and export activities in 3 main creative areas. That is music TT, film TT, and fashion TT.
Okay, it's sounding good on paper.
It's sounding good.
Now this is the inflection point.
Mm-hmm.
The point I was making is that the policies exist. One of the public policies is to create an agency of that nature, and Anarian quite rightly shared their mandate, which, as you said, Carrie, on paper the policy sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is where the challenge arises with the implementation. So, Classic was correct that you can access right now certain support mechanisms for the orange economy. So, because Creative TT encapsulates all of those dancers, singers, filmmakers, fashion makers, and all of the other titles that people don't know about, but which go into those sectors. So if you take a film, for example, people know the actors, but they're, of course, directors, people who deal with the lighting, the location scouts.
There's even producers
and
as well.
There's sound as well.
Yeah, sound.
Right. So that's why the orange economy is so important to the overall economy. Because one musical production, one film production, one theatre production can have the multiply effect that we spoke about in one of our previous episodes.
Correct.
Where the money trickles through so many layers, creates a number of opportunities for employment. So the policy is there because we understand why it's important. But if you were to go and look at the annual report of Creative TT, and by the way, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I don't think that there is a recent annual report. You may get one that is a few years old. I stand to be corrected. But if you look at that annual report, because it's a state agency, as Anarian said, and you read it, and you see the budget that is allocated for that agency, you would believe that something is wrong, because if the policy is there and we understand how important it is, then why is such an important agency completely underfunded? And many artists, many fashion makers, many fashionistas, designers, and filmmakers will tell you that while they do get support, the company itself will tell them in stakeholder sessions that unfortunately the government has not allocated to us what we have asked for. In my time there, we would ask for over $30 million and we would get $6 million. And inside of that $6 million, you have to cover recurrent expenditure.
But really,
so the point I'm really making, just to close off, is that we give lip service to these sectors, and we claim to understand how important they are. But as we said in the first hour, if we get this sector correct once and for all, it would not only generate money, but it would help solve crime.
Right.
It would help solve a lot of the other issues that
and Rudy, let me cut you here, because this is the kind of thing that's getting me upset. You see that lip service thing, I have a problem with that. Right? If we have that idea and we have it in a way where we putting it out there, right? Let me get it thing done now. What are we talking about it for? Take them same words, put it in a garbage bag, and put it into action.
Well, this is where this platform becomes so important. Because there are many citizens out there and artists like Classic and Young King and Muhammad and others who need to be engaged with differently by these agencies.
Right.
They need to, once and for all, get serious about public policy and the implementation of all of the strategic plans that are there. Because I'll tell you something. Each of those agencies spends a lot of money, sometimes millions of dollars, in developing strategic plans for the country. I have copies of some of those plans.
Right.
And these are public documents.
Mm.
But I sometimes wonder if you were to simply call the stakeholders together the same way Classic and Young King just a few minutes ago were outlining, these are the things that we need right away. And you were to take that $1 million and immediately inject it into facilitating those solutions. Perhaps we would be leagues ahead of where we are.
And I agree with you. I agree with
policy documents.
I agree with you to a point. But let me switch it back to Classic and Young King, right? Just for a quick minute here. So what suggestions do you have? How can whether it's the government, whether it's the stakeholders, even private institutions, how can they assist you all in getting from point A to point B? So you all raise the challenge of getting a credit card, let's say, for instance. What measures can they put in place to assist you all?
First and foremost, I believe a credit card should be at least a little easier to get.
Fully agreed, yeah.
Yeah.
Could we get that a little easier? Not just for artists.
At least.
And producers and...
What about a debit card?
No, that is there. That is there, but
they open up debit card to do certain things.
Yeah, there's rules.
Still can't reach as far as a credit card.
No, it makes sense. You're right. Because you could only spend a certain amount or receive a certain amount, especially in US.
Yes. Yeah. Matter of fact, it has certain things you can't even receive. So if they open up things like being able to do crypto and certain things, because have plenty of us down here who have a little something in crypto, it might go up.
Yeah.
But when it's time to convert it and bring it
into
to Trinidad
dollars
money,
and cents type problems.
they don't what we do that.
Wow.
We had to go through something else.
I will tell you the firewall that has been blocking us right there. Right here. The debit card number is not enough digits.
Classic, come down. What are you saying?
I mean, you're talking about your normal.
Yes, your debit card number, your bank account number. Okay, because we as normal citizens, we get debit cards.
Right. No. Right. What I'm talking about,
you're talking
about a particular bank.
You're talking about the prepaid credit cards.
Yeah, well, it's called a debit card.
It's called a VTM card.
Right.
But they stopped that.
No. When I come off here, I'll tell you what to do. Right?
No, it has certain things they started with.
Right.
Like your Google Play and all them things.
Yeah.
You could pay in your debit number.
Right. Yeah. Good.
But still, you're not going to get you if you don't have the right information.
Right.
So you have all the proper information for the card. Basically, like some zip code and area state and area code.
That's a bit hard to get.
Yeah.
On your
own.
You
had a bust your brain.
Wow.
You're like, why doing here?
All right. So making a credit card easier to access for you all.
Yeah.
What else? What else can they do?
I know he asks, or I think you asked, why the private sector or the government? My views on government really is a fine line, because I believe the government is weak.
Yeah.
As a citizen, I am part of the government.
I agree with you though.
As a young person, I love to hear your next young person say that.
I believe we as citizens, we as Trinidadians, we need to start to take things serious.
Right.
Mindset is everything.
Everybody doesn't want to work together.
That is it, right? We are glad to be here to be talking about R&B, hip hop, acting, film, but let's be honest, the normal citizen, they mightn't back us like that.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And because
we might be pushing for policy, but if one person goes for policy, it's not going to be heard. It's one person speaking.
Wow.
If the whole country is speaking, or at least.
Yeah.
No, and I'm just talking about citizens here, and I'm talking about artists. Because we just bicker and bacchanal amongst ourselves.
Right.
And that need to cut too. We need to be real. We need to cut that. We need to be our people. We need to be our nation. The reason why America is great is because America is one people. The reason why China is great is because them definitely is one people.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, definitely. So we as Trinidadians, where God love us so much.
Yeah, because God is a Trinity.
God is a Trinity, and yet still we divided. Like
Why?
God.
Why?
I don't know. God, I probably,
Yeah, well, all right. Well, I not there. But I understand what you're saying, because just earlier this week or even last week, we were talking about mindset. And I think that our culture and our mindset needs to change in order for us to, move from point A to point D.
Point B, yes.
Yeah? All right. Young King, let me hear from you. What do you think that they can do, or how can they invest in young artists like yourself and others?
Right. So the same way they have other openings to, like, all right, it has Soca Monarch, it has other different venues. They need to have some kind of opening so that, all right, people who love R&B, who love hip hop, it has somewhere where they could go.
Yeah.
Even if it's
government funded.
Government funded. Somewhere we could go and at least enjoy yourself and promote and
R&B
be
Monarch.
open. Because we could go down the road and go by a bar and say, right, let me go and perform a little music. Now the owner might hear some like it, but when we start to perform, who else gonna like it?
Yeah.
1 or 2 people in the crowd.
Gotcha.
Everybody else want to hear dancehall.
But
and
everybody in
zest
Soca
and-
Monarch come to hear Soca.
Well, true.
So
but it could have an R&B concert too.
Yeah, a designated
so you see
space.
how everybody Soca Monarch, them coming to hear Soca.
Yeah.
If you go
So we
Soca and
say-
hear R&B, what you gonna
Wait a minute, I will do that,
You.
and I will get vexed with the Soca because I come to hear R&B.
Yeah.
But we have a niche. We have a niche
No, but
down here, right?
We're right. Outside of Soca and Carnival season, you don't really hear nothing about Trinidad and Tobago music outside of maybe Jazz Festival that takes place in Tobago.
Well,
I mean,
I don't hear nothing else.
Amongst us as
Yeah.
artists, we do hear a lot of
Yeah.
things.
Well, we,
Yeah,
because
but
we know it.
Right, but then the marketing for the general public is limited.
Exactly.
So
That is why we know it and them don't know it.
But I include I as part of
We
them.
not
I
follow.
bounce up,
No,
I
because
bounce up some
there's-
people out there sometimes.
Yeah.
And they go be like, you doing hip hop? Take the thing.
Well,
Yeah,
when
they
you
want
tell
hear
me-
you, know.
when-
I don't want hear you. I just listen to Lil Durk and NBA Young Boy and thing. I said, man, I must spit something, man. And when I start, them shocked.
Yeah,
I'm saying, nah.
Because I'm shocked to hear that you sing R&B. I was like, whoa. I didn't even know we had that kind of artist down here.
No,
Yeah,
but
it's a love.
Just
even
getting
to
up
react.
sing a song for
Yeah, no, well, that too.
No, but even to reiterate, no, there's a lot of artists who come from Trinidad and is out there and is doing their thing.
I agreed. Fully agree.
Whether it might be R&B, hip hop, acting, whatsoever. I mean, we even had this guy who was in Black Panther, Thompson.
Yeah. So here's what. Let me stick it there. Let me stick it there for a minute. Let me just play these few ads and then we'll close off. And don't forget, Olena leaving here without singing something for me. I just put it outside. All right. We're gonna take a break and be back. Keep it locked.
Are you ready for the heat, excitement, and music? Get ready to tap into the source for all the latest tea on the Caribbean's top performers. It's Zad right here on CNC3. Stay ahead of the culture and get the behind-the-scenes access you've always wanted with exclusive celebrity interviews, red carpet moments, and news scoops you just can't miss. It's our culture brought to you live and direct. Get ready. It's time for Zad. Only on CNC3, premiering February 4th and airing every Tuesday at 8 p.m.
In a time of promises and politics, only one thing truly matters: your voice, your freedom. As Trinidad and Tobago heads to the polls, Freedom 106.5 FM brings you the clearest conversations, the toughest questions, and real issues affecting your vote. No spin, no fluff, just fearless talk radio, live analysis, and unfiltered voices from every corner of the nation. Stream us live at www.freedom1065.com and follow the discussion on our social media pages at Freedom 106.5 FM, your voice, your freedom, only on Freedom 106.5 FM.
The following is a paid political announcement.
This is the voice of the PNM. TNT, we're inviting you to join us as we write a new chapter with Prime Minister Stuart Young. On Monday, April 14th, La Hocketa, the People's National Movement, will be having a public meeting at Phase 2 HDC Car Park. Then on Thursday, April 17th, Maruga, meet us at St. Mary's Recreation Ground. Hear from our chairman, Prime Minister the Honorable Stuart Young, and a lineup of powerful speakers. La Hocketa, see you on Monday, April 14th. Maruga, We're coming to you on Thursday, April 17th. All meetings start at 6:30 p.m. This is a new chapter for TNT. We're red, ready, and responsible. On April 28th, vote PNM. Great is the PNM.
That was a paid political announcement.
Now, a station that's giving you back the power to speak your mind. The all-new Talk Radio, Freedom 106.5.
And welcome back to We the Youth right here on Freedom 106.5 FM. Be sure to call in and send us your WhatsApp message, as my lovely co-host Carrie will give you those numbers.
Yeah, of course. So 625-2257 or 627-3223. You can even send us a WhatsApp message to 306-1065. It's just about 10 minutes away from the top. We have our 5 p.m. news coming up courtesy JTA Supermarket. And
we are
these two guys, they're not leaving from here until the thing of us from me.
But let me finish my conversation.
Yeah, you finish that and then we will, you before
deal
the
with
news.
them after,
yeah,
right?
of course. I gave you 2 minutes. Let me go.
So, guys, anything you all want to add to the conversation? Anything specific you want to bring to our viewers and our listeners' attention? I mean, we highlighted some issues. What about some solutions? You were going.
There's one last solution I need to add. Yes, these policies has been in place that probably a lot of artists don't know about. The old saying, not trying to say anything bad. You is who know you. That need to cut.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely need to cut.
And I was gonna say that in a shorter version.
Yeah, that definitely need to cut.
Well, love. I love it.
We all need love.
Love. Yeah.
That's it, boy.
And
right.
And I think a lot of things will just
fall into place. Yeah, it will fall into place. And my thing with that is, I think that the older artists, they should
share some love too,
or share the knowledge, because oh gosh,
yes,
let's say share the knowledge, or something like that. You can't go in the grave with all that knowledge, man. I have a problem with that. You understand?
Classic young brother.
Young King. Come out of the studio.
He probably calling it into existence. I might make it like
All right, I will take that. Come back inside. All right, let me go.
There is one thing I ask all my guests to do. I ask them to quickly close your eyes and envision a TNT that you are proud of. And with that being said, if you could close your eye for 1 minute and think of a policy or think of something in the creative sector that you no hold bad. No, if funding was not an issue, if government was not an issue, what is one thing you would want to see in the economy? The orange economy, that is, the creative sector.
I would honestly love to see. I have to get honest. It doesn't matter where you're doing hip hop or you're doing R&B or you're doing soca, you use the biggest artist or you use the smallest. I'd like to see her together. I'd like to see that. Knowledge is being shared.
Right.
Like now.
And Young King, what's your answer?
Me, I would like to see the ones that have a little knowledge or reach somewhere and that could help the younger ones. Open up and help the younger ones.
Especially younger ones.
The ones that want to do something too.
Right.
You can't just blurt out to people who ain't making sense and they just want it for the type of people who like the gun violence or them want to make it just so them can have the biggest gun. We were that. We were positive. We were a love for the music. People who really love music.
And the creative sector, not only music, but spoken word,
poetry,
everything.
I grew up saying music because it's like music has everything in it. Music have acting, music have lighting, music have drama. Cause when I watch a music video, my pauses start to raise sometime. Depends on the music video I'm watching.
Right.
Because it's literally telling my story. How much you can love music.
Understood, and there's a nice save to that.
Yeah.
So, what advice both of you will give to young people who want to make it out there? If you had one piece of advice to give a young person.
Consistency. And that is a hard thing for everybody right now.
Consistency
is key.
This is why I believe is the most important advice. You see emotions. you need to not listen to them sometimes and really go for your goals. Because sometimes you're in a position where you don't want to be, but you need to be.
You need to be in order for
and
you
if
to
you
grow,
listen to your emotions, you would leave that spot at the moment. Take it as I'm someone who used to listen to emotion. You would leave from that spot at the moment and miss out on you don't even know what you could have missed out on because of your emotions. And I'm not just talking about creatives alone. I'm talking about everybody in life.
Right.
Your emotions, really sit down, don't listen to emotions and think about the situation that you are in and really make a logical decision.
Well, I would like to thank both of you all for being here and thank Muhammad, who would have called in earlier.
Freetown Collective.
Who had Kerry dancing in her seat.
Well, of course, he sang for me.
Well.
And you're not leaving from here.
So, before Kerry takes advantage of these two young men.
Hey, come down from there.
And their vocal talents.
Yes.
I would like to thank you all for being here, for being part of We the Youth, for coming and taking time off to come and discuss. For our listeners and viewers out there, tomorrow is a very hot topic, a dangerous topic. It's national security.
I had to come here tomorrow for that?
Yes, you do.
Oh, gosh, okay.
And we'll be joined by Rudy, not on the phone, but in person, tomorrow, as well as Jodie Contant, a young criminologist who would have recently graduated university, and she's going to bring fresh eyes, as young as could possibly be.
Nice.
So, I now hand over to Kerry.
Thank you. So, who would like to go first? And we have about 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
I will go first.
Young King going first. And make sure you call my name in this thing, Carrie V.
What's your name?
Carrie V.
Carrie V.
Carrie V, yes. Yes, make sure you call my name.
Alright. So, this one is something I'm working on. It's called Elon Crush. Like Elon Lust. Right. If you know, you know. When we first met, you told me that I made you feel like you in space. You was my Elon crush. And now you got me in your life and all of a sudden you need space. I guess it wasn't Elon lust. I thought I had real love, but I realized it was fake. You saying that you understand, but you keep making the same mistakes. So you can look into my eyes, see all the pain that I've been through. Fire to my heart like a candle. Girl, my heart been blue since you've been entertaining them people who want to get in you. And if you say you wasn't interested, I wouldn't believe you. You remember when you used to lay down just so I could tease you? You never hear me out, it's like I'm whispering to you. There's a lot of things that I don't want to get into. Thought we were Romeo and Juliet, but I see you only came around to get your panties wet. Pain in my body now, I think I need a Percocet. Right. That's so. That's right. I'll pass to other classic.
All right.
I don't mean how much time.
All right, classic. Quick, talk to us.
Quick. All right. So R&B. We do R&B hip hop, right? So, but lately I've been working on R&B dancehall as well. So I'll give something from this angle. Carrie, let me ask you this: how long can you wait on it? The road long and you feel stranded. You think tough, well you know about this. Too long, so you wait for it. How long can you wait on it? The road long, so you feel stranded. Yo, dog, you know about this. Yo, I see I give love and I get back. Sometimes I give up and not going back. Tell me why the journey takes so much patience. Try holding on, try stay strong. Some of them boys, them chase too much glitter. Them sell out for things less than silver. Tell me why love when people are bitter. Try climb out but sink inside. Let me ask you. Hey,
oh my gosh, thanks so much. Thank you so much for joining us today, Young King and the Classic. And We the Youth, of course, you can catch us here tomorrow, same time, same place, from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on Freedom 106.5 FM. Our 5 p.m. news is next. Thank you, gentlemen. I feel so. Just tag me on Instagram.
Thank you for having us.
Our 5 p.m. news is next, guys. Continue keeping it locked up. Courtesy JTA Supermarket. News is next.
Expression is who we are. Take control. The all-new Talk Radio. Freedom 106.5. Speak your mind.
This is Freedom 106.5 FM, powered by the TBC Radio Network, the nation's biggest and best network. Included sister stations, Sky 99.5 FM, Vibe City 105 FM, 95 The Ultimate One, Sangeet 106.1 FM, and Slam 100.5 FM. This is the 5 p.m. news, courtesy JTA Super.